Hey guys, Sam here from D-Life HD, and I'm here today to discuss with you my initial impressions of the newly released Bravely Default 2 for the Nintendo Switch. I've been playing it for the past day. I've put about 6 hours into it so far, and I just want to tell you exactly how I'm feeling after playing the intro to the game and just some of my hopes for the game going forward. And yeah, that's about it. So stick around for the intro and then we'll discuss the game.
Switch it up. I was a worker, had to upgrade to a boss. I had to switch it up. Used to live in the hood, but had to upgrade to a loft. I had to switch it up.
Alright. First of all, let me go ahead and get it out of the way that I'm pretty biased because I love RPGs. I absolutely adore RPGs. Always have, always will. But JRPGs intimidated me for a little while. And Bravely Default 1, I'd say, is the game that kind of broke the ice for me and allowed me to become an RPG fan of the J variety. And so obviously, I was immensely hyped for Octopath Traveler, which released, I believe, the year after the Nintendo Switch, maybe 2018? I believe it was 2018. And so I was very hyped for that because it was done by the same team as Bravely Default, and I enjoyed it a lot. But when they announced a full-fledged new entry in the Bravely Default series, my hype was through the roof. I was just so excited. So this has been my most hyped game for quite a while now. So yeah, I'm a little bit biased towards it, but I will be honest with you, when I played the demo for it, I wasn't that impressed. I was a little worried that the game might not be as good as its 3DS counterparts, but needless to say, those fears have been distilled because this game is amazing. I have really enjoyed it. Yesterday, I didn't touch my phone or think about eating or just anything. It all just went to the side and I played the game for 5 hours straight, had a great time. Felt just like my childhood where I would pick up a new game and just binge it. And I could barely sleep. I just wanted to play the game so bad. It's that kind of game. So this morning I woke up and I played it up some more. And man, it is just so much fun. And I didn't even want to progress the story. I just wanted to sit around and do battles and side quests. And that is the sign of a good game. So I'll talk about some of the things that stood out to me. First off, graphics. Very nice, very nice. I mean, you can tell this thing is really pushing the Switch to its limits. Can't take videos because a lot of games that let you take videos on the Switch means there's some freed up resources. This game won't. So I have a feeling every resource is being used. Unfortunately, seem to be some hiccups with the performance. Maybe feels like it's running the Switch a little too intensely. And so every once in a while there are some hiccups. Just a little bit of an awkward frame drop or something like that. But not too bad. Not too bad. And if you liked the kind of style of some of the games like Luigi's Mansion 3, for instance, that just feel like very heavily stylized and maybe feel like they're kind of a diorama, you'll like this game. I mean, it feels like you're playing a diorama. It's really cool. So I played it in handheld and on the TV, and I will say TV is definitely the way to go. Handheld is a little muddy, and I don't know, it's not that great looking, and not to mention my sticks drift like insane, so I'm just trying to walk around the overworld, and the camera literally is just spinning and spinning and spinning. I can't make it stop, so that's annoying. But playing it on the TV, it looks beautiful. Although, playing it on the tablet, it definitely does look better than the 3DS version, that's for sure. Even though things are a little blurry and character models are a little pixelated, it's still like, when you compare it to the 3DS, man, it looks so much better. At the same time, they've retained the simplistic art style of the 3DS game. I was a little worried they'd try to go for something more realistic, but really what they've done is they've added enhanced textures. The characters have more like mannerisms to their motion, but the stylized kind of halfway chibi art style is still there, so that's a good thing. I'm glad they kept that. but they just added a lot of detail to it, made it feel like it is a significant upgrade. And one thing that is a huge, huge upgrade is the voices. I'm not saying the voice acting, but on the 3DS there was a lot of voice acting. And so to get it to fit on that little cartridge, they compressed it so much. I don't even want to know how they got it on there because it is so compressed, and the characters sounded like they were coming out of a cardboard box, which could make it really hard to get, I guess, involved emotionally in some of the scenes because everybody just sounded like they're coming out of a cardboard box like that. But in this game, everything is super clear, and the clarity is, it's excellent. So that's super great. And that is not gonna, be any different between TV and handheld. So that is a welcomed improvement. Now the battle system has some changes to it as well. In Bravely Default 1 and Bravely 2nd, you would choose every character's action, and then they would go, and then the enemy would go. But this time you'll be choosing characters' actions in between enemy attacks. And you won't know when the enemy's going to attack, although you will get a little hint, a little exclamation mark near their head when they are probably about to attack. But your character has a little bar at the bottom of their stats, and when that bar fills up, they get to take another turn. And so it adds a layer of strategy to the game because the more items you take into battle, the slower that bar fills up. So if you give your character a bunch of armor and weapons, they might be like a tank, but they're not going to get to attack very much. So it's kind of good to have some characters that are weighed down and some characters that are not, so that if you need to get a quick healing potion in there or whatever, you can use your lightweight character to jump in and do that. So that is awesome. I heard some people complaining about that and saying it's a negative thing, that it adds a little bit more random to a little more randomization, but it's really not random. It's just RNG, and you just kind of have to know what causes it, and then you'll be able to predict what happens. It's honestly pretty cool. And another cool thing is that within just a couple hours of playing the game, you'll have a lot of job classes at your disposal. You'll have like 4 or 5 at your disposal, and so you can already start really customizing your characters, and they make grinding feel so seamless. Like, you just will want to battle because the battle system is so enjoyable. And even just the presentation is enjoyable. The characters make funny jokes and say funny stuff, and the action scenes are really cool. Like, they're, especially when you get to do a special move, like, man, that is amazing. And the music is great. So, I mean, not only are you just invested for the whole atmosphere of it all, but just the battling is just so fun. Just plain and simple, it's so fun. And I will say, Octopath Traveler had a really great battle system that made up for its kind of like lack of story. But this game has an even better battle system and a better story on top of that. So it's like, this does everything that Octopath didn't quite reach the level of. And I love the battle system in Octopath. I thought it was enough to drive the game forward even without a super great story. But man, here, you're going to be like torn between just grinding and leveling up or continuing the story, because you'll want to know what happens next, but you'll also just be having a great time earning new abilities, switching out jobs, leveling up, gaining new abilities there, switching out jobs again. It's really cool. So I want to say this for anybody here who maybe is a little confused and is not an RPG fan. If you are thinking, what the heck is a Bravely Default? Well, I got good news for you. This is a great place to jump in. It's completely disconnected from the story of 1 and Bravely 2nd, and it's its own story. Similar to how the different Final Fantasies have their own stories. So you can jump in without having to worry about the story. But the mechanics are also really well explained, and I had a difficult time wrapping my head around them in Bravely Default 1, but Bravely 2nd and now Bravely Default 2 have both done a really great job explaining the mechanics, and you can access those at any time if you need to review the tutorials, and there's just no reason not to jump into it. It's very friendly, and you can adjust your difficulty on the fly, so you can play super hard if you're a veteran, and it is a welcome challenge. I think you'll find that you're very challenged, or you can just jump in at normal, and that's a great difficulty for newcomers, and if that's kicking your butt, you can always drop down to easy. So it's really worth getting into. I think you'll enjoy it, no matter who you are. because it's really well explained and very, very engaging, even if you're not a big RPG fan. What else did I want to touch on? Oh, the 3DS games had Street Pass features where you could walk around with your 3DS, and if you passed by another 3DS user or exchanged info online, then you could gain some upgrades from that person. You could use a special attack that their character would come in and use a special attack, or give you an item or something like that. So in this game, to make up for the lack of Street Pass, they've added in a new feature where you can send your characters out to basically like grind for items and interact with other users online while the system's in sleep mode. And it can do this for up to 12 hours at a time before you have to reset it. So like for instance, last night when I was done playing, I put the game in sleep mode, came back, 10 hours had passed, and I had gained a bunch of new items. And it's a very useful feature for people who don't have a lot of time on their hands for just grinding it out. It'll just help you get some nice items. And if you have the online capability, then you can even interact with other users. It's pretty cool, pretty great addition, and a good replacement for the Street Pass feature. So I wanted to commend them on that, because that was a pretty awesome idea. And I will say, I'm pretty busy with work and streaming on Twitch and just all these different things I do in my free time. So it's nice to have a way to kind of grind it out when you're not playing. And that is not the kind of thing you would find in an older RPG, I can tell you that. So definitely want to recommend this game. Gameplay's great, graphics are great, music is fantastic, story is very enjoyable so far. Haven't wanted to skip any cutscenes, and I can't say that for everything. And I haven't found myself annoyed, I've just found myself having a blast. Really, the only thing I've had to deal with is the hiccups in the performance, but I'm hoping, maybe they'll just patch that down the road to run a little bit better. It's a little sad, but it's definitely not that big of a deal considering it's an RPG. I would much rather take some performance hiccups and have it look beautiful and have a great story and stuff. I mean, if it ran great and the story was terrible, that would not be optimal for an 80 probably-ish hour game. Yeah, not cool. That would be not cool. So I'm pretty glad with the way it is. And I'll be happy if they maybe put out a patch for it. But yeah, definitely check this game out. I'll be probably checking in again with the channel once I get to about halfway through the game. Let you know how I'm enjoying it at that point. And then once I finish the game, do a full review for it. So definitely keep an eye out for that. I'll be pretty much playing straight through this. I'm not planning on putting it down at any point. So keep an eye out for that in the coming weeks, because I'm hoping to have this thing beat pretty soon. Alright guys, well thanks for watching the video. Let us know in the comments what you think of Bravely Default 2. If you're playing it, let us know how you're enjoying it. And if you're not playing it, let us know why. I mean, obviously, some people just can't get into something like this, but maybe I can dissuade you from that way of thinking in the comments and make you go give it a chance. I'd love to do that. But anyway, we'll also have a link to our community Discord in the description if you're interested in chatting with us there, and a link to our Twitter where we post gameplay from the latest releases and just our thoughts in general. Until next time guys, it's been Sam here at D-Life HD, and remember, always stay one up. We'll see you later.